everybody back. And this lovely lady I have the honor of introducing to you this morning, Reverend Margo. I've known her so long. She's such a blessing. Oh, it's such a beacon of light. And you learn a lot from this lady. Reverend Margo entered the spiritual path after receiving sporadic messages in 1983 that her teaching career was complete and it was time to add spirituality to her life. Plus, she will be moving. Her mother's poor health brought her to San Diego, and her mother's transition established her back to living in San Diego and taking classes from spiritualist teachers and science of mind teachers. She was ordained at Fraternal Spiritualist Church in 1995. Her spiritual path has taken her to Russia and Mexico to give workshops, and she currently speaks at spiritualist churches as well as Center for Spiritual Living centers. And she has had ongoing classes on Saturdays with the angels for 19 years at Universal Spirit Center. She recently identified herself as an explorer of divine love, joy, peace, and abundance, believing that God can never be stagnant, and it isn't our destiny to be stuck or stagnant either. We are here to expand and stretch to unseen vibrations, to luxuriate in intimacy with the divine. Let's welcome warmly, please, Reverend Margo Alora.
Before we had our quiet time, I heard you say, you probably said a lot of things, but what I heard was you can receive messages. Did you say something like that? God was speaking to us?
Oh, yeah, I do, yeah.
So I got a message, Margo, you shut your book and the talk is in the middle. So I hope I didn't disturb anybody. I was trying to find the first page. And then I thought, well, I got messages, let's see what else. And I heard, because I'm very auditory, so I deliver it as hearing, that one of you, your message was, you cannot ever be alone. It's just not possible. That's a human thought. And then I also got that somebody got the message that, you're strong. And then your dialogue was, I just went through this and I just went through this. And the message was then, that's making you stronger. So we don't need to feel weakened by our challenges, but can pile them up, strength upon strength. So that was a nice way to start out, wasn't it? Okay. And I do apologize because I was quietly trying to pull, but I got panicked. I know this talk is in here, where is it? And then I went in, and who shut it on me? I'm sure it was me, but it was like, who shut this? So I have been looking forward to coming here and sharing with you. And last night, my niece, who's staying with me once in a while, about once a month, she said, what are you going to talk about? And I generally receive messages so that I have some generalities. But somehow when she said that, I went, well, let me do some writing. So I usually put just like bullet points down. So I'm going to share some with you. And one of them says, I'll just share it when it comes to it. It's sort of an interesting bullet point. So what I'm going to talk about is our beliefs. I'm going to share with you beliefs I have. And that doesn't mean that you have to have them, but it means it's a privilege to be up here. It's a privilege to share. And I have a privilege of getting to share my beliefs with you. So number 1, I have them ordered. That's sort of interesting. That's not necessarily, there is no number 1, but this, and here there is. The universe conspires for my good. Now, I believe that with my heart. I challenge it once in a while. It's like, God, are you sure? That's me. And what I'm learning is that the good is completely individualized. So maybe your good is to break your leg, go to the hospital, and meet your mate forever. And it's a doctor that you marry. And, our good cannot be compared. It just can't. Even though we live in a world that compares a lot, right, don't we? So I believe with all my soul that the universe conspires for my good, and I also know in my human self that sometimes I have to dig to find it. I have to dig to find it, and maybe the good shows up a little later than I want it to. That's the truth. Number 2, staying in the light makes the darkness disappear. Darkness provides contrast, and that helps me a lot to know why. Why there's negativity, why, but I also know that it provides contrast. And now I have people that say, oh, you're seeing some contrast. That helps me a little bit rather than saying, you're going through, I can't think of a nice word, difficulties. I was going to say a word that started with S, but I didn't know. When you're going through it, and now I can see, it's contrast. I'm doing this, and somebody else is doing that, and looks like we may be doing this. That's contrast. And what I really know, I know it with all my heart, that light is the truth and darkness, it's temporary. And you bring light to darkness, I might not get to know all the results, but the darkness does disappear. It's temporary. And I saw a poem the other day, and it says, even in the eclipse, the sun light is behind it. And I use that to feel the light in my heart that, I might go to a little bit like, why me? Or why us? It's like the sun is always lit. And so I am too. I might need to find a little flame, nurture it and nurture it. But it is, light is the truth, and darkness is temporary. Number 3, experiences of darkness. Oh, I like this one. Experiences of darkness are like sticky notes. They're not the whole story. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Yes, somebody wasn't nice to me. That's a sticky note. But that's not the whole story. Maybe she was having a bad day, or maybe, sticky notes. I just love that, because it just sort of congeals it to something, and you stick it there, and then you go on, being your divine self. Remember sticky notes. I don't know where I even got that. It's in this book, it's in here somewhere, and I went, oh, I'm going to use you. Okay. The next, number 4. We're very fortunate to interact with our guides. And I'm just so thankful for this philosophy, or this religion, or this support. And I believe that my guides are always with me. Some people call, I don't even know I forgot that word they call it. And it's like somebody's higher than somebody else. But anyway, I have a guide that's been with me all my life. And her name is Miriam, and she's incarnated many times, like we all have, because she was once the sister of Moses, and she helped the tribe in the desert find water. That was her gift. And one time she's arguing with Moses, about his wife. And the tribal norm was that when women couldn't have babies anymore, that they weren't as valuable. And she was arguing with that. And this book called God, Women, Sex, and the Bible, it's written by a woman rabbi. She says in the Bible that we have, it says that God gave her leprosy for so many days because she was arguing with Moses. And this woman who is completely fluent in Aramaic and the language of the Bible, she said, as she read it, that word said, God turned her white. And white could be for enlightenment. And this scribe was doing the best that he could, but he saw white and went, whoops, she's arguing, and so said that she had leprosy. So she holds no grudges. She said that. But I sometimes do. It's like, maybe things would have been different if that hadn't been written that way. And she just gives me a, this is now. Let's play the hand that we've been dealt. But that is, I just feel so fortunate, and I believe in guides. I believe that they're there to cry with us, not just say, yes, you're in pain and I can do a little healing. When I was having cancer a long time ago, I cried out, which I didn't have much pain, but one night I did. I said, can you help me? And what I heard back was, we can take a little of the pain. Can't take it all because it's your experience, but we can take a little. And as they took a little away, I was able to go to sleep. So I believe wholeheartedly in guides. And sometimes I think of them sort of like God's insurance policy, so that when I'm down here and I'm forgetting, that the insurance policy is that the guides that I have are helping me remember. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. Number 5. Oh, my centeredness, my relationship with the divine. So I hope I could explain this one, because I believe this. So normally here I am, and I'm real clear that God can be found inside. There's a seed in me, and it can't ever be separated. And my center is in the divine. Normally, well, a couple weeks ago, my cats that are my fur babies, I live alone. They are my fur babies. One sleeps here and one sleeps here. Well, one of them got ill and was in pain, woke me up crying. That, they're emergency. And I, at that point, got a little off center. I got into, these are my center. My cat that I love so much is my center, and he's in trouble. And I talked to the vet, and I ended up going to the emergency room with him. And I don't know why it's important, but for me it was important. I went in with my cat, and I was crying, and they said, sign this paper for $6,000, and we'll fix him. And then they said, but we can give you some back. Now, I don't know if it's because of my background or I'm still with money a little bit. I don't know why that's important, but it was important to me. And I said, yes! And I signed that paper, and, they took my cat and they operated. The next day I was at Universal Spirit Center, and I was trying to give just a simple announcement. It had 2 parts. I forgot one part. I forgot it. So I sat down and I went home and I prayed, and I said, what's going on? God help me. And what I learned is, in that emergency, I got a little off center thinking that my cat, was the center of my life. And the truth of the matter is, God's my center, and I get to share my center with the cats. I'm sort of embarrassed by that. I don't know why. I should know better. And so I prayed on that. It's like, what's going on? I preach sometime, I know. And what I learned is sometimes in emergencies, maybe that's the time I need to reach out to somebody and say, remind me who I truly am. Remind me where God lives. That's not so easy for me to do, but I think I'm going to do it because I didn't like being off center. And there's no judgment from God. God's not saying, hey, you forgot. God is saying more like, you forgot, and I'm here, and the life that you're living is also my life, and the love in you is my love. That kind of centering energy. So that was number 5, and it's about my centering is the divine, and in the divine, and I believe that with all my heart. That's one of my center beliefs. Now the next one, I have an asterisk. It says, when my belief goofed. So I thought that would remind me of something. When I started years and years ago, I was going to Wednesday nights at the Forum down in San Diego. And I used to hear these people, and they get up and they get a message and they say, with you I get A like Ann, and then, B like Bert. And they keep on saying the names. And I was brand new, maybe the first year. So I said to God, in my arrogance and ignorance, but here's the belief that I was living by, and I wanted to share with you a belief that was, a little undeveloped. So I said to God, nobody's going to be able to give me my mother's name from the pulpit because her name is very odd. I said that out loud to God. A few weeks later, I was in a beginner class, maybe one of my first classes. There was a student next to me, and Millie was walking around. That was the teacher. And the student says, I think I have your mother's energy here. And I said, really? How can we tell? Well, this is it's a wonderful story. So she says, well, I'm pointing right here. Like there's a dimple in your arm right there. And I about fell onto the floor. My mother's name is Dimple. I love that. I love telling that. I could still feel the energy of that. So God, in her compassion for me, said, Margo, your belief is a little screwed up. I'm going to show you. It was. And, so beliefs can be expanded by the divine and by interactions with each one of us. And so never again would I say, somebody up here can't give it, can't do it. So that's the story. And I keep that, I also call that a God story. And I keep that in my pocket. If ever I get into my humanness that sort of turns away from my spirituality, it's like, Margo. Nobody could have guessed my mother's name. And the divine was showing me that the belief I had was too limited. Open it up. Open it up. Another belief I have is that there is no death, or the soul cannot be hurt. There is no death. So I've been saying we relocate. We relocate when we leave here. That's how we can give messages and get messages when a life is discontinued here, but continues on the other side. And so when somebody says, I lost my a new friend said that, I lost my husband. I said, well, she knows me and she respects me, and so I said, well, that's one way to say it. What I'm hearing is, his name is Lee. Lee relocated, and you feel the loss of his relocation, but you didn't lose him. So I believe that there is no death. Another belief is that it's imperative that we grow because God grows. God adapts. You know, the mountains grow and they go down, and God is change, and therefore I need to be open and to evolve. And that my little belief that people can't get messages, you know, from certain people with certain names, let all that grow. Let me be an expansion of the divine. God walking around here, expanding and growing and adapting and allowing each of us to be the soul that is in gratitude and in expansion, a frontier, of ability to know that the frontier expands and we do too. Another one belief is that love is a power. And I'm tired of people telling me that love is helpless. I don't believe that. I believe I've been indoctrinated to hear that, but that love is a power. It's a power like the light that is always on. This power does not want to diminish or be over somebody else. However, this power can stand powerfully. So I can stand in my own power, in my own convictions, that I'm a worthy being, that I'm not sinful. I can stand in that, and if you want to stand over there and say you believe that sin, people are sinful, that's okay. But I'm not going to say that. And I'm going to stand in the power that I believe that God is love. And that sin is archery term, and it simply means we made a mistake. And if I'm not making mistakes once in a while, I know I'm not growing. So I want these mistakes. I just want to learn from them. Mm-hmm. And some that I've had for a long time is say, hey, God, help me. I don't want to do this one more time. And I've had God say, okay. Painful, maybe, to learn that, but okay. So this one is asterisked because I've been saying this, 6 months or so. Reciprocity with guides or with God, or actually with each other, is very important. So when I do, like I got that little message, Margo, your talk's in the middle of the book. I don't have to say thank you, but I can feel gratitude. I can know that I would have gotten a little, where's my, I would have done that. And God said, hey, just move your book a little bit, you'll find the spot. I think, and then for me to say, thank you, God. And if something happens, if I get a little money, that I give some money. If I see somebody's frowning and I smile, whether they smile back, but the reciprocity is an energy that lifts us up. And I believe that with all my heart. Reciprocity is here so that I stand in the love power, and if somebody over there does something else, there will be somebody next to me that will say, yes, I believe that God is love. So look for the reciprocity and do that yourself. Thank God. Thank the universe. Thank each other. Be in gratitude when you wake up each morning. And sometimes ask for guidance to find that flame of light when it looks like it's all covered over. Not completely, not completely. have that reciprocity with the divine and with your guides and with each other. I believe in you. It's a hard time right now, but I believe in you. Let this energy be the flow, you might say, of the divine. Our beliefs are like road maps for our lives. So I invite each of you to feel the love of the divine, not judgment or fear or separation, but focus on nature, focus on the miracles we continually have every day, and continue our life, our journey as the divine's presence in ourselves. Thank you.